Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Somewhat along those very lines that you've just been discussing, the issue of what part is the responsibility of the administration, what part is our responsibility as we tackle these issues, how much flexibility should they have. That really goes to the heart of where we are on the Homeland Security bill. You're right, it is bogged down right now, and I'm sure you've been following it, but for those who have not followed it real closely, it essentially has to do with two areas. One's the authority of the president. The president since JFK, either through executive order or by statute, have had the authority to abrogate collective bargaining agreements in times of national security. Those who have a different view are insisting that there be additional criteria that people moved into the new Homeland Security Department, that the president has to determine that their job function has essentially changed in order for him to be able to apply that authority. It's a difference. Secondly, it has to do with the issue of flexibility that the persons running the new department will or will not have. We're having a big battle up here as to whether or not we should essentially retain the same work rules, the same requirements of Title V across the board, keeping all the worker protections, keeping all of the whistleblower protections and all of the basic things, but in terms of pay, in terms of reward, discipline, termination, levels of appeal, and all those things that were created, some of them 50 years ago. We're in a battle royal up here now as to how much flexibility and how much change we should have. I noted in Director Freeh's testimony, and I turned to it, that with regard to half a dozen of the recommendations he makes, it has to do with these same kind of areas. Compensation, the number of people they need, staffing, exempt the FBI from compensation restrictions of Title V, procurement procedures, which is a part of the Homeland Security bill, achieving interoperability, making all these 22 disparate agencies we're bringing in the Homeland Security context work together, and restructure the budget to give more flexibility to the DCI, Attorney General, and FBI Director to better allocate program funding and resources. In other words, put people and money where you need it and have some accountability at the top, but also flexibility at the top, because we are living in a different age. I guess you can see where I'm leaning in terms of this debate. But I would appreciate your overall view from 30,000 feet or so, if you could, or any more detail if you followed it that closely, as to what direction we should be going in here, or how we should resolve what essentially, as of this moment, has killed a Homeland Security bill for this year. The American people are going to have a hard time understanding the things I've just been talking about are going to be things that kill a Homeland Security bill this year.
Far be it from me to give political advice, but I would not want to be a member of Congress if you go home without passing that bill and something bad happens while you're on recess, because people would have thought if they had only done the Homeland Security bill, things would have been better off. Well, maybe they would have been, maybe they wouldn't have been. But the fact is, the perception would be that you didn't do what you should do. I can answer the question very simply, because the commission is on record. Warren Rudman laid out very clearly that we believed that because of the national security nature of this particular organization, that there ought to be, and we didn't lay them out specifically, but there ought to be broad flexibility for that cabinet secretary in terms of personnel policies, and we were very clear that there had to be flexibility, and we made no bones about it. Strong language, bipartisan, 7 Democrats, 7 Republicans. There was not a partisan issue. Now, what I have suggested to some people, and I'm not sure where this debate is right now, why don't you simply take the identical provisions that apply to people at DOD and apply them to this agency? Maybe that's less than the administration wants. Maybe that's more than some of those who think labor protections are inadequate are willing to give, but it certainly seems to be a reasonable compromise that's worked at DOD. And so that would be my suggestion. I think I answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.